It feels like everything is a subscription these days, from your streaming services and software to groceries, cars, and get this, even the heated seats in a car you already bought. Subscriptions are just everywhere. But how did we get here? We're always told it's for our convenience, right? But is that really the whole story? Well, let's dive in and really pull back the curtain on the subscription economy. Okay, so right now, just take a second. How many do you think you're paying for? Go ahead, tally them up in your head. You've got Netflix, Spotify, maybe a gym membership, a food delivery thing. Got a number? You probably feel like you've got a pretty good handle on it. But what if I told you that for most of us, that number is way, way off? Because according to the research, the average person is actually spending a whopping $273 every single month. And that number, believe it or not, often doesn't even include old school stuff like your gym membership. For so many of us, it's just this massive financial drain happening silently in the background. Now, what's really happening here is this massive fundamental shift. We've moved away from a world where we owned things, buying a DVD, a CD, a copy of Photoshop, to a world where we just rent access. You don't own a single song on Spotify or a single movie on Netflix. You're just paying a monthly fee for the privilege of using them. And this model has exploded way beyond just digital stuff. You can now get subscriptions for your groceries, for razors, even for your car. But if you want the perfect, most extreme example of how far this has gone, look at BMW. They actually tried to charge customers $18 a month just to turn on the heated seats that were already physically installed in the car they owned. It's wild. So why? Why are companies pushing this model so aggressively? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Investors are absolutely obsessed with it. For them, it is a predictable, beautiful profit machine, and they just can't get enough. Just look at this comparison. A one-time sale, that's just a single burst of cash. It's totally unpredictable. But a subscription? That gives them what's called monthly recurring revenue, or MRR. And MRR, that is the holy grail for investors. It's predictable, it's stable, and it lets them build this continuous relationship with you and, of course, your data. So yeah, that predictable revenue is a huge piece of the puzzle. But the real engine behind all this profitability, the secret sauce that makes this model so incredibly powerful, it isn't just about convenience or lower upfront costs for you. Nope, that's what I like to call the digital lie. The truth is a lot more psychological. All right, here's the secret. A massive chunk of the subscription economy's profit doesn't come from people actively using and loving the service. It comes from something called the ghost membership. It's a strategy that literally relies on you forgetting you're even paying them. A ghost membership is exactly what it sounds like. You're paying for it, but you're not using it. You know what I'm talking about. That gym you swore you'd go to, that language app you haven't opened in 3 months. The company is just banking on your inertia, quietly collecting your money while you do absolutely nothing. And this is not a small thing. That same study found that people underestimate how much they're spending on subscriptions by an average of $133 a month. That's over $1,500 a year. Just poof, vanishing into these ghost memberships we don't even remember we have. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of all. If we're not even using these things, and they're costing us a small fortune, why on earth is it so hard to just click cancel? Well, the answer isn't just about being lazy. It's about psychology. See, these companies have become experts at basically weaponizing our own brains against us. They have engineered a system that taps into our deepest hopes, our fears, and all our little cognitive biases to keep us locked in and paying month after month. First up, there's the aspirational self. When you subscribe to that fancy fitness app, you aren't just buying workout videos. No, you're buying an identity. You're investing in the fit, disciplined, amazing future version of yourself. That subscription becomes a symbol of who you want to be. And this quote just puts it perfectly. That monthly charge becomes a payment to keep the dream alive. Canceling isn't just about stopping a payment. It feels like admitting defeat. It's you consciously giving up on becoming that better person. And wow, that is a hard thing for our brains to do. Next, there's this fascinating trick our brains play called moral licensing. The simple act of paying that $15 a month kind of gives you a psychological pass. It eases the guilt of not actually doing the thing. You think, well, I'm paying to learn Italian, so I'm still the kind of person who learns languages. The payment itself starts to feel like the action. And finally, of course, there's the classic sunk cost fallacy. Let's say you already dropped $100 on a subscription you barely touched. If you cancel now, you have to look back at that $100 and admit, yep, that was a total waste. Our brains are wired to avoid that feeling of loss, so weirdly, it feels psychologically easier to just let another $10 go out the door next month.
So, companies know all this. They totally understand our psychology, and they use that knowledge to build intentional traps right into their websites and apps. These are called dark patterns.
A dark pattern isn't a bug or a bad design. No, it's a user interface that has been carefully, deliberately crafted to trick you into doing something you don't want to do. And when it comes to subscriptions, the one and only goal is to create as much friction as possible between you and that cancel button. And it looks a little something like this. We've all been there. First, they bury the unsubscribe link deep in some menu you'll never find. Then, they hit you with an emotional question like, are you sure you want to give up on your goals? Then comes the mandatory guilt trip survey. And finally, the last-ditch offer for a lower price. It's a whole obstacle course designed to make you just give up and walk away.
Okay, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. People are starting to wake up to these manipulative practices, and there are real, concrete things we can all do to push back and start reclaiming some control.
So, how do we fight back? First, and most powerfully, vote with your wallet. Whenever you can, choose products you can own outright. Second, support regulations like California's click-to-cancel law, which forces companies to make canceling as easy as signing up. Third, get behind big movements like the right to repair, which fights for your ability to actually fix the stuff you've bought. And finally, the simplest thing, just be conscious. Do a subscription audit every few months. When you boil it all down, it really comes down to this new power dynamic. In this subscription world, we're not really owners anymore. We're renters. We pay for temporary access. In the companies, there's the landlords. They can change the terms, they can raise the rent, or they can even kick us out whenever they want. So the next time you go to click that subscribe button, maybe just pause for a second and ask yourself this one simple question. In this new world we're all building, this world of endless access, what parts of your life do you actually truly own anymore?